Hello, viewers, it's Josie. Welcome to Eclectic Movie Reviews and Updates. Happy New Year! I hope everybody had a nice, safe, happy holiday season. There's some debate about when Christmas ends. Some people say it ends on the after New Year's or on January 6th, which was yesterday. Yesterday was the Epiphany. But regardless, today I'm gonna discuss the movies I watched from some of the movies I watched from late December to yesterday, January 6th. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you guys two Christmas gifts that I got. This is the Parasite graphic novel and storyboards from Bong Joon-ho. So you got, it's the screenplay with pictures of the storyboards, and it's really cool. I would love to see more filmmakers do this in the future. Put out their graphic novels, like, that includes their the screenplay and the storyboards. Another one director in particular I would love to see do this is Quentin Tarantino. I mean, he is putting out a novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so I don't see him far off from doing that. Next is the RKO story. This is the history of old studio RKO Pictures, which later became Paramount. Some of here's the table of contents. Of course, there is the acknowledgments and the preface, an introduction, as pretty much every book does. The three of the chapters are devoted to a specific decade: 1929 to 1939, 1940 to 1949, 1950 to 1960, and then goes into the history of the RKO British Production Distribution, RKO nominations and awards, and then there's a whole index of film titles. So if you get this book, going over to that area of the book is a great way to discover new movies. And just looking through some of the images here alone, because they're just incredible. I mean, look at this. If any of you have seen the movie Mank on Netflix, which I encourage film lovers to check out, it goes into the history of RKO, and I think that was part of why my brother was inspired to get this book for me. And then here's a little picture I drew around Christmas time. It's not a finished picture, but it's a little collage of some of my first time watches of 2020. That's supposed to be Peter Sellers' character, Chauncey Gardner, in Being There. This is the rainbow. This is supposed to be the rainbow, like in the rainbow room in the Holy Mountain. As you see, that's the Christ figure from the Holy Mountain. That's Jennifer Connelly's character from Phenomena and the Bees. The monkey from Phenomena and the knife. If you guys have seen Phenomena, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's the phone booth from Local Hero. That's supposed to be Jeff Bridges' character from Starman. That's supposed to be the spaceship from Starman. That's supposed to be I drew a piano. as a reference to the 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. That's supposed to be the baby from the animated movie Kuriku and the Sorceress. And of course, that's the robot from Chopping Mall who says, "Have a nice day." I even drew a speech bubble of him saying that. Anyway, moving forward, let's move on to a discussion of the movies I watched from late December to January 6th. Well, and please note, these are not all the movies I watched. This is just a select few. I'm going alphabetical, starting off with Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension from 1984, directed by W.D. Richter. A neurosurgeon named Buckaroo Banzai, played by Peter Weller, invents the oscillation overthruster, which enables him to travel on an interdimensional scale. Unfortunately, his rival, Dr. Emilio Lizardo, aka Lord John Warfin, played by John Lithgow, steals the device and uses it to make way for an invasion by evil aliens from the 8th dimension. Buckaroo, along with his crew, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, and a group of good aliens from Planet 10, team up to stop these invaders. It's a blast, it's funny, it's adventurous, and the score is so unique. It's like 80s synth, new wave, if that's a good way of describing it. The cast also includes a young Jeff Goldblum as a character named New Jersey. I kid you not, that's his character's name. Ellen Barkin plays the love interest. Christopher Lloyd is in it, and he's always great to see on screen. Clancy Brown is also in it, and most of you may know him as the voice of Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. And character actor Ronald Lacey plays the president. This movie is definitely a great gateway cult film to open up like preteen or teenage audiences to other cult films. It's available on Blu-ray through Shout Factory. Amazing color transfer, by the way. You can also rent it for $3.99 on Amazon. Next up, Badlands from 1973, the directorial debut of Terrence Malick. This is a crime romance starring young Sissy Spacek and Martin Sheen. Sissy Spacek plays a teenage girl named Holly who lives with her father, played by Warren Oates. Issues take place when she starts dating Martin Sheen, who pretty much plays a bad boy. One day after a major fight, Martin Sheen's character kills Warren Oates, and then he and Sissy Spacek's characters escape their home under new names to live in the Badlands of the Midwest. Obviously, they cannot hide their crime for too long. Like all of Malick's films, the cinematography is gorgeously atmospheric. Now, this was before Malick started working with Emmanuel Lubezki, who of course shot Tree of Life. I think 3 people shot Badlands. I could be butchering one of their names, but Tag Fujimoto, Brian Pobin, and Stephen Larner. Stephen spelled like Stevan. Next thing, despite Martin Sheen's character being a criminal, the beautiful production design of their Badlands home makes me want to go there. I don't mean like I want to live there, rather reside there as if it were a hotel. Fun fact, the art direction was done by Jack Fisk, who is Sissy Spacek's husband. Jack Fisk later went on to be the production designer for Terrence Malick's other movies, including The Thin Red Line, The New World, and The Tree of Life. Guys, you know you're old when The Tree of Life is turning 10 this year. Jack Fisk also did the production design for Mulholland Drive, There Will Be Blood, The Master, and The Revenant. He's really one of the best production designers in the industry. Another fun fact about Badlands is that the story is inspired by real-life killers Charles Starkweathers and Carol Ann Fugate. I could be butchering their names, but that's what it said online. Now, Badlands is available on Blu-ray through Criterion. It's also streaming on the Criterion Channel, as well as Terrence Malick's other movie, The New World. Next up, The Ballad of Cable Hogue, 1970, directed by Sam Peckinpah. Jason Robards plays a hobo named Cable Hogue, who, after discovering miracle water, sets up a way station in the desert and makes money off of visiting stagecoach goers. When he enters a nearby town, he falls in love with a prostitute named Hildy, played by Stella Stevens. Although Hildy's a prostitute, the film does a really good job at humanizing her character, and that also speaks to the strength of Stella Stevens' performance. Cable Hogue also develops a friendship with the town reverend, played by David Warner. That's interesting because this is a Warner Brothers film. Despite the film's subject matter, it's a surprisingly bittersweet and touching movie. The cinematography by Lucien Ballard, who also shot Peckinpah's The Wild Bunch and Ride the High Country, is absolutely stunning. As far as the editing, there's some unique cuts and transitions, especially in the opening sequence in the scene where Cable meets Hildy. There are a couple songs played in the film that really stand out. Tomorrow is a Song I Sing, sung by Richard Gillis. Butterfly Mornin', sung by our stars, Jason Robards and Stella Stevens, and the end title, Wait for Me Sunrise, also sung by Richard Gillis. I definitely see how this could have been an influence on the Coen Brothers' Ballad of Buster Scruggs, especially with the songs. It's available on Blu-ray through Warner Archive. You can also rent it for $2 on Amazon Prime. Next up, Bell Book and Candle from 1958, directed by Richard Quine. I watched this on Christmas Day. Some of it takes place on Christmas, but not all of it. Nevertheless, it is still a good movie to watch at Christmas time because it takes place during winter. Kim Novak plays a witch named Gillian or Gil, residing in Green. I forget if it's pronounced Jillian or Jill. I would have to rewatch it, but she resides in Greenwich Village in New York City. She owns an African art store and is pretty much bored with her life. And then she meets and becomes attracted to a publisher named Shepard Henderson, played by Jimmy Stewart. And she places a love spell on him. The issue, though, is that when Kim Novak and Jimmy Stewart actually begin to fall in love in the story, Kim Novak's character risks losing her witch powers. The cast also includes Elsa Lanchester, who is filmmaker Charles Laughton's wife before he died. She plays Anne Queenie, who's also a witch. Jack Lemmon plays a bong-drumming warlock. Knowing him as a lead in Some Like It Hot in the Apartment, it's interesting seeing him in a supporting role here. Ernie Kovacs plays an author researching the witches. There's a really funny scene where Jimmy Stewart, being a publisher, reads Ernie Kovacs' character's book and is highly critical of it. I don't want to give away much more, but Bell Book and Candle is a magically sweet movie. It's currently streaming on the Criterion Channel. You can actually watch it as a double feature with I Married a Witch. That's another good witchcraft-themed romantic comedy. While I Married a Witch is good to watch around Halloween time, Bell Book and Candle is good to watch around Christmas. You can order the Twilight Time Blu-ray off Amazon, but as of now, there are only 3 left in stock. You could see if your local library has it. Next up, The Black Cat from 1984, directed by Edgar G. Ulmer. I want to thank the guys at Pure Cinema Podcast for turning me on to this movie, and also I forgot to thank Brian Sauer for turning me on to Bell Book and Candle. Anyway, The Black Cat is a Universal horror film based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. The narrative follows a couple on their honeymoon, played by David Manners and Julie Bishop, and a doctor, played by Bela Lugosi, who take refuge in the home of a well-known architect, played by Boris Karloff. I don't want to give anything away because you can't really discuss the meat of this plot without spoilers, but Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi's characters have a dark past with each other that's revealed later in the film. Mystery ensues. I would classify it not only as a horror film, but also a crime mystery. It's currently streaming on Criterion Channel. It's available on Blu-ray in a 4-pack of Universal Horror Classics, including it as well as The Raven, The Invisible Ray, and Black Friday. Next up, The Cameraman from 1929, directed by Edward Sedgwick. I watched this one on New Year's Eve. This was the last movie I watched in 2020. A photographer played by Buster Keaton gets a job as a newsreel cameraman to impress his crush Sally, played by Marceline Day. Throughout the narrative, he experiments with his camera in super classically slapstick ways. It's a commentary on the filmmaking process as well as a cute love story. There's also a cute little monkey in it. With this, The Holy Mountain and Phenomena, I guess I'm just attracted to movies with monkeys in them. 3 movies I watched in 2020 had monkeys in them. What are the odds of that? The Cameraman was the last film that Buster Keaton had creative control over. He later said that his move to MGM was the worst mistake of his career. Anyway, The Cameraman is available on Blu-ray through Criterion. I don't know about how streamable it is, but you can look into that for yourself. Next up is The Cars That Ate Paris from 1979, directed by Peter Weir. The alternate title is The Cars That Ate People. This is a horror comedy thriller set in a small Australian town called Paris, where people purposely cause accidents and sell pieces of the car wrecks to make money. The main character is Arthur. After his brother George dies in a car accident, he's adopted by the mayor and his wife, which is funny because he's a grown man. Nonetheless, it makes sense because despite his character having a dark past with being charged with, think like a hit and run manslaughter, there's a sort of a naivete to him. His shyness sort of makes him come off as childlike. Then there's some tension between teens of the town and the mayor when the mayor tries to implement regulations as a result of the frequent car accidents. I don't want to give too much away, but I will say that it is a uniquely suspenseful dark comedy. As of the timing of this video's release, it's available to watch on Criterion Channel. I don't know how available it is on DVD or Blu-ray. I think there's only one copy on Amazon, but it's really expensive. It would be cool if Criterion, Arrow, or Kino put out a box set of Peter Weir's earlier films. Because Criterion already has Picnic at Hanging Rock from Peter Weir. Anyway, that's Cars That Ate Paris. Next up, Winchester 73 from 1950, directed by Anthony Mann. In this Western, Lynn McAdam, played by none other than Jimmy Stewart, tracks down an outlaw named Dutch, played by Millard Mitchell, in Dodge City, Kansas. It is there that Jimmy Stewart's character wins a gun in a shooting contest. That gun, as the title suggests, is the Winchester rifle. The adventure begins when Millard Mitchell's character steals the Winchester, and Jimmy Stewart chases him down to retrieve it. In my previous video, I discussed Bend of the River. Also directed by Anthony Mann. Both are fantastic hero's journey flicks. If you want some fun action mixed with some subtle romance, then I encourage you to check those two films out. Winchester is available on DVD and Blu-ray. You could see if your library has it. I watched it on DVD through an interloan. The last time I checked on Amazon, there are unfortunately not a lot of copies left. Anyway, that's Winchester 73. Finally, a new release from 2020, Wolfwalkers, directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. This is a new animated movie on Apple Plus from Cartoon Saloon, the creators of Song of the Sea, The Breadwinners, and Secret of Kells. All really good stuff. Set in the 1600s, a young archer girl named Robin moves to an Irish village with her father. voiced by Sean Bean. And spoiler alert, guys, Sean Bean does not die. Because I know he's sort of become a punchline because he dies in a lot of his movies. And the local townspeople are afraid of wolves and believe they're evil. Robin ends up meeting a girl named Maeve, who is a human during the day and a wolf when she goes to sleep. Thus, she's called a wolf walker. And Robin, earlier in the film, gets bit or scratched by one of the wolves, I think by Maeve, and then she becomes one of the wolf walkers too. Now, Wolfwalkers has a lot of cool Celtic mythological elements to it. The soundtrack is not only has an adventurous feel, but it's surprisingly soothing. It has a mystical quality to it that puts you in a dreamy mood, if you know what I mean. The hand-drawn animation is incredible. When the opening shot on, I felt like I was transported into a fairy tale storybook. My mom said that the animation reminded her of Sleeping Beauty and The Sword in the Stone. Editing-wise, the film takes some visual chances by including split screens that sort of look like graphic novel panels. Funny, I was just talking about the Parasite graphic novel. Additionally, in the scenes where there are wolves at night, you see the outlining of their bodies. You would have to see the film to know more of what I'm explaining. It's pretty cool. Although not in the mainstream, it's so refreshing to know that 2D animated films are still being made. I wish that more were more widely released. If you don't have Apple Plus, because obviously not a lot of people have it, I encourage you to do a free trial just to watch this. I also on Apple Plus, I started watching the show Mythic Quest from the creators of Always Sunny. It's really funny so far. Anyway, that will do it for what I watched from the late December to January 6th, the holiday break. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you like this video, then you can click the like button and subscribe, and you'll be notified for more positive poems and eclectic movie reviews. You can also follow me on Instagram at Eclectic Movie Updates, or if you want to check out my poetry, Positive Poems, I also have a Letterboxd. You can follow me at Eclectic Movies on Letterboxd. It was a pleasure doing this video for you all, and just a reminder to be kind to everybody in our current state of affairs. Happy New Year, and I wish peace for all. Goodbye for now.